you were just a trained killer. And at the end of the day, you had to do this, what they wanted you to do. And it was so easy, really, to pull the trigger. And that surprised me, really. Some guys down there were just so unlucky. And they were really, really young. And it's a crying shame.
They're the shiny rewards for serving his country, but the price Dave paid was his peace of mind. By returning to the Falklands, he hopes for closure, but fears dredging up the dark memories he shut out for so long.
35 years on, I'm going back. Am I going back to hell, or am I not? That's the big question, because it was bloody hell down there.
It's sure to be an emotional journey, and a long one too. From the military base Brize Norton in Oxfordshire, Dave embarks on an 8,000-mile flight to Mount Pleasant Airport in the Falklands. The plane coming into land marks the end of a 20-hour trip. And at the end of the transfer, Dave is tired, but relieved to be back.
Now I'm here, it's not hell anymore, it's quite nice actually. It's a lot better than it was the last time I was here anyway.
But the weather's not much better, is it?
The weather's exactly the same it was 35 years ago, cold and miserable, and I want to get in now and get away from it.
The next morning, after a good night's sleep, we drive 2.5 hours across a snowy East Falklands to get to San Carlos Bay. It's the place where Dave first landed with his parachute regiment 2 Para on May the 21st, 1982, after a month at sea.
This was all covered in ships, there were ships everywhere all out here, you know, and our ship was there, we came down on, and the Royal Navy were all out there and all the other ships, and there's helicopters, and the Royal Marines were bombing up and down in their little boats doing their bit, and today is so tranquil.
But the tranquility of today belies the terror of the past. During the task force landings, San Carlos was known as Bomb Alley. Several ships were sunk by Argentinian aircraft, killing 60 servicemen and injuring hundreds more.
Last time I was here, there was jets flying along here, and Jane, there was people being killed. Jane, every day we were here, people were dying. You were scared. Jane, it was so frightening, and you were so young.
After surviving the dangerous landing at San Carlos, Dave trekked 5 miles with the Paras to Sussex Mountains, where they dug in for a week, before marching throughout the night to Goose Green. Unlike our walk today, theirs was a tactical advance to battle known as a tab, in the dark, carrying 60 kilos of kit.
It was hard, it was cold and miserable. Night, it was hard work.
And you were wet, weren't you? You just never got dry.
Yeah, by this time your feet were just absolutely freezing. It was just so cold, bitterly cold. A lot of the boys suffer with trench foot, and you're tired as well. You're not getting any sleep. It was brutal.
A brutal journey into an even more brutal battle. The first major land conflict of the Falklands took place here at Goose Green. It was the first time Dave was involved in fighting reminiscent of the Great War.
They were just going in with bayonets and just, and it's personal, and it's, what these guys, and they just carried on doing what they had to do. And it just wasn't one trench, just that trench, now let's go to the next trench. Oh, God almighty, you can't describe scared. Everyone says, I'm scared. Nah, you're not scared. When you're getting bombs dropped on top of you, and they're coming towards you, and you think, is this next one mine, and it's close, and you think, oh my God, no.
In the face of such terror were some heroic sacrifices. Lance Corporal Gary Bingley won a military medal for charging a machine gun post. Private Stephen Illingsworth awarded a Distinguished Conduct Medal for retrieving ammunition in the face of Argentinian fire. And Lieutenant Colonel H. Jones, the commander of 2 Para, given a Victoria Cross for single-handedly charging an enemy position.
I don't want to describe to you the suffering that some of these guys went through to get these medals. It's just horrendous. It's a shame, you know. There's no way you could write or you could put it on TV and know, you know, how these poor kids suffered.
The suffering was not in vain. The 2-day battle ended in victory, despite the British being outnumbered 3-1. But it came at a cost.
Lieutenant Colonel Jones, Captain Wood, Captain Dent.
17 soldiers from Day's regiment were killed, their sacrifice remembered at this site known as Para Hill.
You always remember the faces of these lads, like, you know, and you know, it's just, oh, you think, oh my God, no, you know, it just breaks your heart.
Sadly, that wasn't the last of the losses. Dave was about to witness the worst single attack of the war. From Goose Green, Dave and the Paras were sent to reclaim Fitzroy with a view to finally capture the capital Stanley. After 5 days digging in, holding their position, suddenly they came under fire. A series of Skyhawks struck out of nowhere. 2 ships, Sir Galahad and Sir Tristram, were bombed, killing more than 50 men. Dave remembers seeing it all from the hilltop.
You could see the guys on the ship, the Welsh guards on the ship, see them running across and trying to get into the hold, but there was so much smoke coming out of it, and you could see explosions going on, and you know, there was no way that these boys could get back in. But the sad thing about it was they could hear the boys screaming, and that was the reason why they were trying to get in there. They were trying every hole possible to get in, and they couldn't do it.
One helicopter pilot risked his life by using the downdraft to push a lifeboat away from the danger.
The boat could have gone up at any time because there was explosions going on then. You could see the explosions coming out the boat, and it could have just hit the helicopter as well. And this guy went, I don't care. And it was just amazing helicopter work. He was brilliant. You know, you take your berry off to that man.
And the acts of gallantry continued on land too, at the field hospital for the 46 soldiers who'd been badly injured.
One of the lads came off and he'd lost his leg, and he was just staring at his leg that he'd lost, like, you know, and it was just you know, to see one of your own like that, it was completely different when you're seeing it with an Argentinian had the same sort of injury, like, you know, it didn't bother you. But that, because you knew it was one of your own, was absolutely a shocker to me.
54 servicemen died in the attack, most of them Welsh Guards. But Dave later discovered one of the victims, Anthony Keeble, was originally from Jersey, a chance to pay a local tribute to a local boy.
Even though I didn't know him, it's one of your own, you know. It's one of your own for your own island, and it's just absolutely, you know, yeah, it's so, yeah, it's sad.
After the Battle of Fitzroy, it took just days for Dave and his men to take Argentine positions on the mountains overlooking the capital.
Right. Gentlemen, I've just heard that the white flag is flying over Stanley.
The Falklands were back in British hands, and on June the 14th, 1982, war was over.
I was relieved and I was happy, but one thing, I mean, you understand, I was bloody tired. If we had 4-5 hours sleep a night, you were lucky. You know, it was just, you're just so tired.
Mostly, though, Dave was tired of being a soldier. The relief of being home prompted him to quit the army. He told his mum he never wanted to go back to the Falkland battlefields, But since he's returned, he feels a weight has been lifted.
As each day was going on, I felt, there was a lot more coming off my chest, the sort of thing. It's like a relief, that day was over and it was great. And next day was going on, that was great. And it was getting better and better and better as each day was getting on. There's like a big adventure back, but it was a nice adventure. Where before it was just, hell. This time it wasn't, it was lovely. Everything fit into everything I wanted to do. And then it came into a big, huge jigsaw puzzle, and then the picture came to me, and it was a lovely picture, really.
After years of viewing this place as a bloody hell, Dave now sees a more heavenly beauty in these islands. It's clear while the scars of war remain, the Falklands have moved on, and now so can he.